God, dude, it has been too long. I get lazy sometimes, man. What the fuck? I'm a lazy bastard. One minute I'm popping videos out, next minute I'm making TikToks and fucking gaming, dude. I don't know what it is. Welcome back. I'm Wizard in a T-shirt. And while I've been being a lazy bastard and hibernating for a month, I've been reading some interesting stories. Some very special stories. Not the ones that come from the tabletop realm, but the ones that come from a special kind. A dark, disgusting kind. It's Gamestop. We're talking about Gamestop. Now, I don't know what it is, but GameStop just gets some of the worst kind of people that walk in there to shop. Like, it is some sort of magnet towards the worst kind of people, because the stories and the things you hear about from past employees and managers just go ends on ends. I mean, even Christian walks in there and pepper sprays employees. Anything's possible nowadays. I feel like most of the time, the main thing that you just see in GameStops is just a lot of people complaining about the prices they get for like trade-ins and consoles. Because I remember as a kid, back in the old 2010s, when you actually got like decent prices on games and consoles, when things weren't that expensive. But dude, nowadays, you trade in a brand new game, yeah, I'll give that to you for like $5. That's worth it. You know, there's a lot of different type of retail hells, but I can only imagine the kind of retail hell that GameStop can become after a specific amount of time working there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. But we're going to find out, I'll tell you that. Today, I have for you 3 stories that come from the retail space of GameStop. 3 horrific tales that are going to show us why you probably would never ever want to work at GameStop. As always, with a cup of Joe, let's jump into this shit. It didn't go down right. Our first story comes from the GameStop subreddit, from a thread that's titled Crazy Work Stories / Experiences, and this experience was posted by Cleo Date M Pest. I'm not gonna skip that. I'm not editing that. That's gonna go in the video. That's just as it is. But let's begin. Had just joined on as a brand new SGA. This happened about 2 weeks after, and it was one of my first solo shifts. I was a rushed hire and had no idea what I was doing. Family came into my store looking for a wireless Switch controller. Went to the back where the Switch wired accessories were and bought a rock candy wired controller for their kid. Dude, if there's anything I know about those controllers, they're fucking garbage! Like, I'm sorry for yelling, but dude, I remember as a kid, I bought one of those just so that way me and my dad could like play games together. I used it, and it is the jankiest piece of shit I've ever seen. Because that's the thing, GameStop will like in the far back sections will just have these off-brand controllers that you can buy, and they're just like cheaper options if you want something to use that, you know, that's not just like an actual another controller that's gonna cost like $50 or $70. But still, dude, like they are ass. Just because they glow in the just because they fucking glow does not mean they're good. Let me tell you that right now. The shiny don't make them good. Don't be a fucking fish like I was. They eventually came back a few hours later with the entire crew in tow, red in face and screaming at me that I had sold them the wrong controller and that they wanted to return it. One look at the box and it was completely mangled. And it looked like the controller was thrown a few times or something, because the controller shell had come off in some places. So you're telling me they got mad, busted the fuck out of the controller, came back and said, "We don't want this shit, refund." Like, I don't know why people do that sometimes. Like, in the spite of anger, I understand, like, you can be upset about something, but to break something and then take it back and be like, "Yeah, we want a refund on that," it's like, are you a fucking idiot? I had no clue at the time it was possible to work around and mark it as a defective because lack of training that I didn't get until a month later in passing. So I had to tell them I couldn't return the controller because it had been opened and obviously damaged. Father was a big dude. He looked like he could have killed me if he wanted to. And he looked like he was about to jump over the counter. Mother was constantly hiding behind him, screaming and hollering slurs and stuff at me and the company and shouting over me when I tried to explain stuff. I was in my own right scared shitless, not knowing what to do but to continue to deny them a refund for the controller. I was in my own right scared shitless, not knowing what to do but to continue to deny them a refund for the controller. And after 30 minutes of screaming, they finally left in a huff. Store was dead silent, and I didn't know what to do except call the other SGA I knew at the sister store a couple minutes later to explain the situation after I saw them drive away. Dude, when it comes to like families freaking out at like GameStops, I can only imagine the pressure of like these kids or like just general workers that are just, that are new to the situation where it's like, wow, what a great start to my job. I've always wanted to try it out here, and here I am immediately getting yelled at by a family of like 5 or 6 because they are dumbasses that don't know how to fucking make smart purchases or just are uninformed on what they're purchasing. I can just feel like the pressure of this just reading it. It's like, dude, I would hate to be in this situation because I've been in this situation. I'm sure most people have been in this situation where you're working in a retail spot and out of nowhere someone comes back because they're just fucking pissed about something that you apparently did that was obviously their own fault. Like, dude, people just got to learn to chill the fuck out. Like, seriously, just chill. Didn't wait long enough apparently, because father apparently saw the phone in my hands, parked the car in an illegal parking spot in front of the store, stormed back in, and tried to get over the counter to grab the phone from me, demanding to speak to a manager or whoever I was talking with. Besides you, dumbass kid. I stepped out of his reach and told him this phone was going to be used to call the cops if he didn't leave the store, and that there were cameras watching us right now. He took a glimpse around for the cameras and found the one right above the cash wrap, groaned and called me a lucky son of a bitch before leaving. It's not the most craziest story to have ever happened at a GameStop, but after 2 weeks of working for the company and being a new hire stuck on a solo shift without any knowledge, it scared me. Reading this is flat out a retail worker's nightmare, because, dude, when you have like angry customers, it's one thing, but when you get violent customers, that is a whole different other thing. Like, I just know from experience, because I used to work at a bank, and let me tell you, dude, not fun. Not fun. People do not like it when you touch their money. Holy shit. Not even GameStop is safe. But then again, GameStop gets like a whole different worst of worst. Like, it's like angry, like old folk worst, and then it's got the nerd worst. And that's what we're going to be getting into here very soon. Our next story also comes from the GameStop subreddit, but this thread is titled, Bored at Work. Anyone got any coworker horror stories? And this was sent in by Babygirl T3, which involves a devious coworker. So instead of it being the customer, it'd be the coworker. I have tons of coworker horror stories between people who would steal, get high in the bathrooms, or in front of the store if I wasn't there, etc. But I gotta say, the weirdest employee I had was either incredibly malicious or incredibly stupid. At first, he was nice, and he just kinda didn't retain any information. When I would explain basic things to him, he would be like, "What?" And he didn't even know how to count. I guess that kind of gives you the sign that they really just kind of give the job to anybody at this point. But then again, like with most places, they're just looking for workers, so who knows. I had to explain to him what a deposit is like 30 times. He was just stupid as hell. But eventually, I started hearing from other employees about how rude he was constantly. Talking shit about me, insulting customers, yanking money or credit cards out of their hands, forcing them to buy warranties or memberships even though his numbers were absolutely abysmal. Like, you gotta straight up never ask to get the numbers he was getting. He would lie to customers as well. My other employees were not getting along with him in the slightest bit. It got to a point where other employees would not come into work if they had been scheduled with him, so I had to stop scheduling him. One night, we had a reset/sale setup, and I had already been working overtime, so my DM instructed me to just have 4 of my SGAs and GAs to work the setup. Someone in the comments who's worked at GameStop should just give us all like the rankings of GameStop. Tell me from like private to full on general, what's the ranking system? I made a clear checklist along with a description of the task I wanted everyone to be doing that night. I spoke to all of them about it that day. I went over exactly what needed to be done. This guy proceeded to ignore everything I asked and was doing distro instead. Distro that did not need to be done. There was also a lot of clearance, and instead of actually moving things around and making room for the clearance items, he just threw them in the middle of the floor. Only 2 of the people I had working that night were doing what I asked them to do. He was insulting me that entire night. He was insulting the team. He was pressuring them, and he literally kept throwing products at one specific employee. Like literal harassment. I don't know, man. I feel like at that point, if you just got an employee that's not listening, wouldn't you just have the ability to just like send his ass home? Like, I feel like that's what I do. Like, if I got a guy that's just like, fuck you. It's like, all right, then get your fucking ass out of here. You ain't making no money today, huh? Go back to the shadows below. That's all I can really say. That same week, we had a bunch of higher-ups visit, and they were going to the store specifically when they knew I wouldn't be there. The regional manager told the district manager that the same employee had been trying to coerce another employee to tell him how much he was getting paid and that they should sue GameStop, and was insulting him when he didn't want to tell him, which it wouldn't have mattered because he had 0 work experience. He got hired before I moved to that store, and the guy I had hired semi-recently had management experience, so dude's trying to flat out throw a GameStop mutiny. He's like, you know what we should do? We should flat out start a union here and start getting paid all properly in the same. It's like, dude, it's GameStop. It's GameStop. And also, when you're fucking around with people that have like past experience than you do, yeah, you're talking to the wrong folks. If they're getting paid more than you, like if they're a manager compared to you being like a little dude, you're talking to the wrong fellers, okay? I think they got paid the same amount anyways. I don't know. But according to the RM, he was rude to customers, disrespectful of GameStop property, and was just being all around a bad guy. And the RM said off the record that he was a major piece of shit that needed to be fired immediately. But again, around me, he was insanely nice. So weird. You know, I will say, I think the easiest answer to why he was probably so nice to the person that was telling the story is, like, I read their name, they're called Baby Girl T3. So, I don't want to assume, but if I had to guess, you're probably female. So, if you're the female manager, and he's just the weird guy at work, yeah, he's just into you. He's just willy into you. He thinks the manager's willy hot. But then again, this is also just a situation where you're just picking favorites. Or maybe you're just trying to look good for, like, the managers, but, you know, behind the scenes, he's just a villain! A villain! And you hate to see it, dude. You hate to see, like, those employees that are, like, total fucking shitheads, like, when no one's looking, and then once a manager walks in, they're just like, we're back to action. I'm a good boy. It's like, fuck off. Fuck you. Dickhead! Our last story comes from the GameStop subreddit in a thread posted saying, Women of GameStop, what are your horror stories? This was posted by Wolf and Emmy, and I will say, this one, it's a bit of a doozy. We have one regular. I'll call him Joe, who's mentally handicapped. I have nothing against mentally handicapped people. I myself am on the autism spectrum. And we have numerous other customers who are clearly neurodivergent, who are absolutely lovely and just a delight to have in the store. But Joe specifically, I hate when he comes in. It started fine. He talks a little louder than I'm comfortable with, and is kind of forceful with his manners of speaking. Not really comfy with that, but I can handle it and still be courteous and polite and help him with what he needs. But one day, he comes in and I am single coverage, like I am almost always am. And I'm a bit swamped by customers. We have like 8 to 10 customers in our small location, and I'm trying to quickly and efficiently check everyone out and answer questions. When it's his turn, he starts asking 1,000,001 questions about his pre-orders and games. Normally, I'm more than happy to answer any of these questions, but at that moment, there was a line of 5+ people waiting behind him. He keeps trying to announce slash apologize to everyone in a way that's like he works there, as if I can't do that myself, which makes me very uncomfortable. He had me check his pre-orders 3+ times while I had a line behind him. Dude, that is like the worst situation that I myself have experienced, where it's a really busy day and you're trying to get people checked out, and then there's that one person that walks up and they gotta ask you quadrillion questions in their entire life story, and you're just seeing the line build up more and more and more. Like, dude, there's just something in your heart that gives you more anxiety when you're seeing that, because you're like, oh god, these people are about to fucking lose it, they're about to go animal. And it doesn't help either when you have a dude that's like, I'm sorry, just hold on a sec, I'll be done, I'm just checking. It's like, bro, people got to get shit done, and the last thing you want is for this animosity to go right towards the employee afterwards, because dude, people suck on busy days. I can attend to that. People suck on a busy day of work. The next time he came in, I was again alone. But luckily, there was no other customers. Though now I wish there had been at least one, because he's talking to me, and I'm responding, just making casual conversation, which I usually love with customers. We're commiserating about how tough budgeting is, especially with limited income. Just casual talk without getting super personal. He then asks if I live alone, to which I respond, no, I live with my mother, cause even if I didn't live alone, I'm not gonna tell that to a customer. He then starts rambling on about how I need to go out and be more independent, and that my parents are gonna die one day, cause they won't be around forever. You know, I've been asked and told many strange, interesting things from very wild and intriguing characters, but dude, I think I would almost laugh my ass off if someone looked me dead in the eyes and said, you know your parents are gonna die one day, right? Like, I think it would just be the seriousness in someone's tone and just like general like body language that would make it so I could not keep a straight face in that moment. Like, I know there's a respect thing, but dude, it's just a moment of like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? I don't know. Dude, like I said, I've had some interesting moments in my time working in retail, but that I would have loved to have been told to, in my opinion. Now, I dislike focusing on death unless I'm in a proper headspace, because if I'm not, I end up in a very bad mental downward spiral that triggers my depression, and my autism makes me have very bad autistic overload. I tell him that I prefer not to think about that kind of stuff because it puts me in an uncomfortable place mentally, and try to gently but firmly steer the conversation away from that subject. However, even after me doing this twice, he continues to go back to it and insists on talking about how my parents won't be around forever and they will die. It sent me into a full-blown panic attack, which I was luckily able to hold back until he left. But after I locked myself in that back room and called my mom to make sure she was okay and calm myself down before immediately telling my SL. Unfortunately, because he is mentally disabled, we can't ban him from the store unless he does something to physically put me in danger or cause problems for other customers. You know, I gotta say, like, that is the one bummer part, I think, with just some situations with these stores where you get some people that are just really, bad of behavior, and you can't really tell them how to act different otherwise, because at the end of the day, one, it's not really your place to, but two, it's also just like they're not going to listen, and people are going to do what they want to do. And it's kind of unfortunate to hear that happens, because, dude, that's like the worst thing to happen, is to literally just have a mental breakdown because somebody keeps telling you that, yeah, the people you love, they're going to die. It's like, jeez. The worst part of that too is that she was alone, so there was like nothing she could do. She couldn't like go to anybody and be like, help. She couldn't like work with another customer, just by herself. And dude, that's like once again, another sign of just retail hell, dude. Like I don't know. For people that work in retail, I salute you, because you deserve a lot more love than unfortunately that the world gives you. Because let me tell you, people suck. And I think these stories are just a great instance of people that just fucking suck. But that is all the GameStop stories that I have for you for now. If you enjoyed the video and liked what you saw, be sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends that might have had the exact same other experiences. And be sure to join the Discord, where we have a lot of fun stuff going on and a lot of fun people to hang out with. Be sure to also check out the Twitch streams. We've been streaming a lot more. I've been streaming every day, so just be sure to come on and check that out. But either way, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, and I hope to catch you in the next set of stories. Got it. Either way, deuces, y'all.